For more on the story, we're pleased to be joined by David Bossie, the president of Citizens United, the group putting on this week's Freedom Summit, along with Congressman Steve King. For the record, I should point out that following my days in Congress, it was my honor to be a Ronald Reagan Fellow with Citizens United. And with that piece of business out of the way, David, let's get down to this year's business. Looks like you got a mighty good roster of attendees. I understand Sarah Palin is going to be among the group showing up.
She is, JD, and it's so good to be with you, and I really appreciate you having me. We have the who's who of the conservative movement coming to Des Moines this evening for tomorrow's Iowa Freedom Summit, and I'm just so proud to be able to say I think the number is 18 potential candidates for president will be there tomorrow.
Wow, 18. So as JD mentioned earlier, there will be a few big names that won't be there. Can you tell us who won't be in attendance?
Well, when you put out invitations like this, not everybody's going to be able to make it, obviously. So I don't necessarily read anything into people not attending. However, Jeb Bush will not be attending, and Marco Rubio, as well as Rand Paul. And then, of course, at the last minute, we invited Mitt Romney because of the last, 10 days ago, the ruckus caused by him maybe running. We invited him as well, and he's not attending.
Are you surprised by that?
That he's not attending?
No, just all of the ones that you mentioned, because these are considered, some of them, to be the front runners.
I really, I beg to differ on that. But listen, Jeb Bush's name is what makes him obviously a contender. I believe he's going to have a very tall mountain to climb to gain credibility with the conservative movement in Iowa, in New Hampshire, in South Carolina, and therefore I'll be interested to see where we are 6 or 8 months from now.
David, you mentioned Jeb Bush, and there was a lot of talk out of Iowa and in the GOP establishment saying that Jeb Bush turned this down not because of a scheduling conflict, but because of his affinity for open borders. Some of us call it amnesty, and some sort of disdain for Congressman Steve King. In fact, here's how weird it's gotten, David. The Washington Times features an article that I guess we'd call strange but true. It reports on a group of illegals threatening the GOP not to get too closely aligned with Congressman Steve King. What on earth is going on? Why would those folks be given the time of day in our political debate?
Well, look, first of all, we issue, and I have no idea what's in Jeb Bush's head. I believe that he should be here. I believe Mitt Romney, if he is going to be a candidate, should be here. I completely think that Rand Paul is missing out and that he should be in attendance. Don't get me wrong. I think they all should be there. But with that said, we issued these invitations to Jeb Bush, I believe, in September or October. And we received fairly quickly a very professional response back saying there was a scheduling conflict, that he would be, I think, on the West Coast in some way, shape, or form. I didn't read anything into that, and that was long before people tried to build anything of this out of this. If they are thinking they don't want to be standing next to Steve King on stage, that is their political calculation. That is a major error if you are trying to win the Iowa caucus. And so that would go against Jeb Bush's best interest, even if he is in disagreement with Steve King on one issue. It is something that you look at Chris Christie. Chris Christie is not necessarily standing toe-to-toe, shoulder-to-shoulder with Steve King on every issue. And I don't agree with Chris Christie on lots of issues. But he has the courage to show up and say, here is my position, and this is who I am, and take me or leave me, but I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet in front of you and have the courage of my convictions.
Fair enough,
what
David.
The
only thing holding us up right now is time. We're about to run out of it. Listen, we want you to stay with us through the break, because there is more to talk about. And we'll also invite in John Zogby. There's a new poll that people might find surprising. Stay tuned.